Okay, no, I was about to say let's do sound check, but I realized there's no such thing as Zoom. There's
All
no such
right.
thing as Zoom. It's all good. It's all good. You know, at this point,
Yeah.
okay, so listeners, for context, we were using this other platform, which we know, but which we have been using for at least the past. When did we start using Riverside? We were using Riverside like maybe 4 months
Saw
ago.
using Riverside in like August.
Yeah, like so a while ago, Sha, we've been using that thing for a while, and then today, for whatever reason, it just decided that it wasn't gonna do it anymore. It wasn't gonna do it anymore. And now I was, but yeah, it's all good, Sha. I think I should just
Yeah.
maybe start from introducing our guest again because I don't really see the point of running through the appetizer again. We've already talked about this. The appetizer was never have the opportunity to work with the brand again or work with every brand you're approached by. The conclusion was working with every brand you're approached by is dangerous. So that was basically the conclusion. So in terms of introducing guest. I mean, as you can see, he doesn't really need an introduction. But yeah, today we have a very, very special guest who is a creator, speaker, photographer, digital strategist, and founder. Super, super excited to say that our guest for this episode is Josiah, aka Mr200m. Sorry, I'm just looking. Is your arm in a sling, Ejo?
Yeah, man.
What's
Yeah.
happened?
It's not
What
broken.
happened? What happened?
It's just I've been playing sports like
Okay.
very aggressively.
Oh,
So I've been playing
Very
like basketball
aggressively.
like 3 times a week. Yeah. So I've been
Uh,
experiencing like bone pain, man, like crazy bone pain in my elbow, my shoulder. So yeah, man.
okay.
I'm in and out. In and out.
Okay. Ejo, take it easy, please. Take it easy. All right, cool. The first thing we're going to talk about is the digital strategy aspect of what you do, right? Which once again we had already talked about it.
Yeah,
So this
maybe
thing is really, really annoying me. This is really,
wait,
really, really annoying
wait.
me.
Quick question. From like the remnants of the previous session, like, do you have any of the recordings, or is it all gone?
I think I don't know. I'll see. But yeah, if I can't find this,
Okay.
then listeners, this is what you get. This is what you get. But Shasha, no wala. The digital strategy part of what you do. Yeah, can you just like tell us about it?
Yeah. So it's annoying that I have to share it again, but so hopefully you find the clip and then you just
Hopefully.
accept.
Yeah, hopefully.
But yeah, I met a client that kind of became like a mentor, changed my
Mm,
life. And while I was editing, he just caught into my talent and he kind of highlighted it to me. Is essentially the
mm,
point. I was just at the time I was like this multi-skilled guy. I'd done YouTube, I'd done photography, started to do some videos, had shot some documentaries, but I didn't have like any like leverage per se in terms of being a videographer. But I had like a style of creating content that was very unique to me. And
mm,
I like just believed in it like crazy. And yeah, man. So this guy just, just we were working and he just kind of saw it and he was like, yo, you're a digital strategist, man. And he saw the way I flipped an edit and after directing exactly what he needed. And I think it opened just a whole new opportunity in the creative space in my mind, really. Because, I think what's even crazy is like all the stuff I do, right? I was one of the first people to do them
mm,
all together at the same time in the year that they were done. In a sense, like look at what TikTok's made available now to the world. Like people are doing they can be a dentist in the day and then they can make content about their dentistry and then still get people to come to the dentist, but also
yeah,
become content creators.
yeah.
Whereas bro, I was like the first black male vlogger in the UK, like in 2016.
Mm,
Like so then exploring and then doing a bunch of like 5 different creative things as a source of income. I hadn't seen a lot of people doing that were black.
mm,
Like it just wasn't a thing. So
mm.
that day when he was like, yo, you're a digital strategist, he put like a language to like
So what you had already
my
been doing.
yeah, to what I'd been doing. But
Mm,
I like because there was nobody in front of me,
mm,
I didn't I had no like credibility in my mind. Like it
yeah.
wasn't real until that moment. And then from that moment, I was then able to like invest in it. I was like, hold on, like I've got like a mad like that changed, bro. That's from that point, yeah, there was I started to go to hotels, bro, and I'll just stay
Mm-hmm.
in a hotel and just look outside and I'll just
Mm,
study people. Like I started
mm,
to like I was like, you're either crazy or you're a genius. And like the way I
Facts.
started to value my brain, yeah,
Mm,
like the way I started to value my brain was crazy. Like I changed my diet. I came up with like crazy business strategies in uni. I made a lot of money in uni at the end, like towards the end of uni, like
mm,
just from like my brain. And it did,
mm,
bro, like it was like liberation, like
mm,
um, so it was a crazy time. So from then I kind of went on to do lots of work, and even in lockdown, I remember, there was one time I must have said to a friend, like, you can just be a consultant, like you just have to be 3 steps ahead of someone. So I
mm.
decided I want to make like £400 a day, but I
Hey,
want to make it
well,
from commerce,
wow.
right?
Okay. Okay. Wow. All right. Wonderful.
So I was like, yeah, I
Mm,
was like, I want to make it from conversation. So I
yeah.
figured out a way to get people. I was like, I only need 8 people to pay me £50 an hour every day for me to
That
make that
is
amount of money
true.
a day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
So like my brain was like thinking like that. So I started to like find a way for people to buy value into anything I thought about. And it would start from video production. It would start from I also had like lots of different experience in other things. So I was an influencer to a degree at the beginning. So I'd worked for Nike. I was partnered with Nike. So I'd seen the front. I had worked on a Nike project at the back end. I
mm,
was working on another project with Nike in the US. And then
mm,
I was shooting for this client and we were working with a company in the US. And then obviously, the Oprah thing, like when you know that, someone's like, yeah, I met you because of Oprah, like you realize how small your world is and how big you are
mm,
potentially.
mm,
But that gives you a sense of confidence when you're doing something that you really care about and you don't see nobody doing. So from
yeah.
that point, yeah, man, I was in uni, man, I was consulting and I started to realize I didn't need to do 8 hours to make £400, like, because the value increases, you compound. You
Yeah.
have an organization paying you free, you have a company then paying you a grand, 2,000,
Mm,
anything higher. So
yeah.
like just that term of someone being like, hey man, you're a digital strategist, bro, it opened up so much
Mm,
light in my brain,
mm.
and then I capitalized on it like crazy, man. So
Good.
that's where that comes from.
Nah,
Yeah.
love it, love it. I think you actually like. I think you fleshed this out even more than you did in the previous one. Like, no,
Yeah,
honestly, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Oh,
right.
Much appreciated.
Well,
Much
nah,
appreciated. Hmm. Yeah, that crazy or a genius. Agreed.
yeah, man.
That's a wonderful
That
thing.
one,
I
bro.
think funny
They say
though.
you're crazy, bro.
Yeah, no facts though. No, because honestly, like this sounds like such an unserious comment. But I remember having this exact same conversation with someone before. But it wasn't because they were trying to make £400 a day. It was because Ten Hag puts Maguire beside Ronaldo,
It
bro.
was me. It was
Yes,
me.
honestly, I don't know if you watch football, but honestly, bro, we were watching a Manchester United game, yeah, and literally I see Harry Maguire coming on as a substitute, and I'm like, okay, Fez. I'm like, all right, Fez. And Ten Hag puts him up front beside Cristiano Ronaldo, and I said, wow. I said, I've never seen such before in my life. I remember I talked to Polake and David, I was
You
like,
texted
yo,
me.
what's
Is
Ten
he
Hag
like a
cooking?
genius or a madman?
Honestly, I said this guy is either a genius or he's a madman. I'm yet to decide which one, but one of them. But yeah, I can't remember whether we won that game in the end. I don't think we did. But Shasha, no, I agree. I agree with that statement. Yeah,
Yeah,
either a
man.
genius or a madman. No, so yeah, I think from everything you've said, yeah, I think it's so clear. It's very very clear to me, and hopefully to people listening as well. I mean, it just sounds like this is something that you really wanted to do. You really wanted to like carve out, something for yourself, out of everything that you do. And I was just wondering, like, where do you think that comes from? Where did you first start? Because I don't know which one did you start first? Was YouTube the first to come?
Yeah. So yeah,
Mm,
YouTube is yeah, it made everything.
mm,
YouTube was like the catalyst for everything. So
mm.
my journey, legit, to put in simple terms, I was an athlete. All I cared about was sports.
Uh,
One summer, sorry,
200
one
meters.
summer,
so
exactly. So I was a 100 meter
Yeah.
sprinter. I did it semi-professionally,
Mm,
and I started to realize that like because I'm from Nigeria, man. So I came when I was 10.
big
So
up.
um
Mm.
yeah, so I came when I was 10, and bro, I've never understood this country even until I just only understood it last year. But like I was a confused kid, man, and I realized I was black. The only thing I could do was sport. That was the language I spoke in. So I just focused on sport, but then I started to realize because my family had moved from London to Plymouth to Coventry, I'd realized that like we didn't have access to the best coaches. So
Mm,
I was like, how can I deal with this? And I didn't have
mm,
nothing but a camera. And I didn't even have a camera per se, but I remember thinking, like, my young thought, like literally when I was a child, I was like, oh, like it'd be good to make a documentary about this problem so that people can see the problem. So then coaches can pour in and hopefully we can fund the gap. I then in university, I then start a platform called Young Athlete TV. And we then started to make documentaries. We then partnered with Andy Answer. I don't know if you watch Cristiano Ronaldo, Street Striker, the black guy.
I haven't, no.
No, but so have you ever watched a Cristiano Ronaldo documentary where like Cristiano Ronaldo is being tested as like the best performer on earth, the best football player?
Yeah, I probably have. Isn't that one where they attach all those things and then you're like,
and
okay,
he's like jumping and he headers the ball.
Yeah, all
so
of that.
The black guy that hosted the show, his name's Andy Answer.
Right.
And he became the mentor for us very quickly. And then, like that started everything. And then one day he takes us up to the Shard, and I'm like in the top building in the Shard in London. And I look out the window, I'm like, flip. Like, there's so much in the world.
Yeah.
And I feel like even that one moment just like made me think anything is possible. So from then I didn't start YouTube because I wanted my YouTube to have enough followers by the next summer, so that by the time we are really doing what we need to do with the documentaries, they would have viewership. And then eventually the business of me and the co-founder, we just weren't agreed on certain things. So he went off to do his things, and he's doing amazing things in the industry right now. It's probably like you're really doing amazing things. And I then continued making YouTube, and before I knew it, I had like 30,000 subscribers, like really quick. And so I just continued that, and I didn't really care about followers per se. Like, I didn't know what that meant. There wasn't like like now, if you can get followers, you can get money, you can get paid. I didn't know about money. Like, it was just like I had the things to talk about. And then I was getting kicked out of university at the time. I didn't start to fight for international students across the country, and across the UK, because I was not an international student technically because of how long I'd lived here and I was in uni, but the universities tried to basically do 419 on me, you get, so to try to get more money.
Wow. Wait, what were they doing?
Like every university that I applied to basically said they basically gave me international status. And, except for DMU. So in fact, DMU changed mine because I fought the system. But like, bro, like I had to, it's because of God, because I became best friends with the vice chancellor of the university. Right, I became really close friends with like basically the top guy at the university. He listened to what I had to say. I pitched him a business idea. He believed in me. He reduced my school fees to like 9,000 rather than 13,500. But then all this time I was vlogging and documenting this on YouTube because this is a problem. Yeah. But then at the back, and I've never really talked about this publicly, is we were doing lots of stuff to try to investigate student finance, because we found out that there was just negligence that happened to students across the country, like thousands of students. 40% Nigerian were just being charged fees that are wrong, that are legally, like they legally have a right to home fee.
Yeah.
And so many people were cut away from getting access to the finance. So that's where everything came from. And so I started content, and then, yeah, man, like I had a camera, like even the photography, because I needed money. I was getting kicked out of uni, and I did get kicked out of uni. So I needed money to pay fees. I needed money to pay my rent, and like everything was peak. And so, yeah, even in uni, I did a quick strategic thinking. This is before I met this guy, by the way. This was 2016. I met this guy in like 2017, 2018, I don't know, five years ago. I don't even know when that. And I remember like being in a club in university in Leicester, yeah, and someone said, "Oh, I need a photographer for a party," and I did quick maths, bro. And I think, to even answer your question shortly, where did this all come from? It's because I'm Nigerian. That's it. Right? Like we're hustlers in our blood.
Honestly, you heard it. He said, like, "I'm there, bro." He said, "I am there."
Yeah, like honestly. It's just, bro. It's because when you live in Nigeria, like you Nigerians know how to make. It's inside our blood. We know how to make the best of whatever we have. Like, and I think it's one of the reasons why we are the happiest people. And most of us don't have, like, our country is, come on, the vibes. Literally, that country is run by vibes. Like, but it's somehow we're able to, like, yeah, like we're like able to make something out of it, because we're really resilient people. So in university, I guess that just came out. Like, I heard someone say, "Oh, I need a photographer. I need my university loan photography equipment." So I was like, if there's like 10 parties a week in Leicester was the most populated city. You had 3 universities. So you had Loughborough, Leicester, DMU. Then you had like 2 big colleges. Like there was a bunch of people everywhere. Everyone's trying to party. I was like, if I get booked 10 times a week, I can get paid £100 a night. I can make £1,000 a week. So like that's what my head did. I did the maths right quick.
Yeah.
You know, and this is why, you know, you're catching a wine, man. You just did the maths quick. I say, oh, okay, yeah, all right. That's what I did, bro. So you know, yeah, bro. And then from there, that's where everything started. And I you know, I never went to the club again without getting paid. And that was it, done. You know, and the rest was just like hard work. And to tell you the truth, I had never known what I wanted to be. I'm still figuring it out. I just saw opportunities, and I figured out how to be the best with the opportunities I had. I just learned photography through YouTube. I learned quick. The guys were telling me, "Oh, this is too clean. We need it more messy." I was thinking, "Oh, okay, calm."
What do you mean? Yeah, exactly. Like, just do whatever.
You know, and it got to the point where like I realized, I stumbled forward into photography, realized I'm actually good at this. I'm too good for this space. I outgrew the space. So money quickly wasn't enough to. I then started to do editorial, man. Started to do more commercial stuff. And then you realize how quickly £1,000 is tiny. You know what I'm saying? So, but also like how valuable that your skills can be to like someone, you know? So yeah, bro. So I mean, that's where the journey started from, man. But I can't even tell you that I knew I had a plan. Like if anybody comes and tells you, oh yeah, I had a plan, they're lying. It's all right. Like a lot of these things is just a lot of it is how you respond to where you're at the moment. And I think one thing I had more than anybody is the only strategy I can tell you I had in uni, and it's a strategy that is within a strategy. Me and my boy Maniade, me and him decided. I said to him, bro, let's go to university and let's love everyone and be kind to everyone. And if we do that, we'll be successful in anything we do. So I knew the value of a network.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. It wasn't a thing that was preached. It's just like I've come from Nigeria. Like Nigeria is who you know. If you know nobody, like it's hard to survive. So I brought the same mentality to the UK, and I was like, yo, in uni, I need to be the most known person because that will give me access to anything I want to do in terms of if I say that I want to be able to do this project, can I get people behind me? Do you know what I mean? So, and it's not about being the most bait person, it's about being the most loved person. So that was my strategy. And then, you know, I remember like reading the book and then I remember having a thought, like, if you want to be a millionaire, you got to ask 1 million people for £1 rather than asking 2 people for 500
for
grand.
500 grand, yeah.
Because they probably will say no, but the beautiful thing about it is like if I ask a few friends to give me £1 and I have 1 million friends I can ask for £1 along the way, some of my friends give me £10. Some of them will be embarrassed to give me £1. They give me 100, they give me 1,000. And some of my friends give me more than that. So it's like I started to realize that if I could have a network value and also impact people to the value of £1, if that could all be my impact, if that is the minimum of my impact with people, like helping a person on the street, just being kind to like a person in the shop, if all I can do is create an army of 1 million people who care about me as a person, then on the day that I need something, they'll all give me £1. And that's the only strategy that I came up with in uni. Everything outside that was I was the most present person you'd meet. I was everywhere with everyone at the same time, you know. And I was there. I was present. So once again, I was just doing my strategy, just be good to people, be there with them. And bro, like that's still the vehicle. I don't publicize. I don't advertise my work. Like I don't say hi guys, like book me. I don't advertise anything I do. I have private clients, like really private clients, people who have come through and found me and they're like, hey, like we need this, and every package I build is per client. It isn't. There's no. I don't have
there's no one size fits all. Yeah.
It's like I serve people who are like ultra wealthy. Like the person I'm talking about has a network of £76 million. Like it's like, and you get to be a part of their lives. Like you get to make like one cool project we got to do was he said, hey Jay, what do you think about this? I'm trying to build a school in Jamaica. I said, cool, let's do it like this. So we had a piece of content. I made a piece of content strategy, did it the way I did, hired a person to help us execute a small short video, 15 seconds. That money helped us raise more than the money that we needed to build a school in Jamaica. School's being built in Jamaica right now for kids to learn. Like that's the type of stuff I'm trying to do. Like, bro, that's
the impact that you can have. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, like, and you know, it's by the grace of God and also like by being present, you know. And I think for me, like that's the world I live in, is like God has made it so that like I can be with people who are actually making real world change. You know what I'm saying? This person owns a university. You know, we did some work, like even just with that one client, I've worked with separately away from the brands I've worked with in my own capacity, I've worked with, we've we've fed homeless people with Audi. Like, doesn't even make sense. Like Audi gave us a car to drive around the UK to go feed homeless people, and then they gave us money to feed homeless people. Like, it's things that you never saw as, oh, we can connect these two dots together. But a good story in between can actually, bro, help real people's lives. And now I get to create content that actually feeds people. That blows my mind, and it's actually my job. And that to me is everything, you know. So
yeah.
No,
I think that's amazing, man. I think, you know, it's always, you know, when you think about impact, you know, this just occurred to me as well, that whenever, you know, in school or wherever, whenever you think about impact or you talk about impact, stuff like that, the thing that always came up or was always said without fail was impact is one person at a time, you know. And you took that quite literally. Like, yeah, but it is quite literally. Yeah, you get what I mean. It is one person at a time, you know. I'll just ask, because I think this is something I just thought about as well. It's funny because whenever I talk to people who maybe haven't actually, you know, in actuality tried to do the same thing that you did, but something along the lines of, you know, yeah, you have to meet people, you have to be out there, you know, get, you know, people and everything. And I remember talking to someone who was telling me about how, well, yeah, you know, they tried to do that and whatever, but at the same time, they felt like they knew everyone, but no one knew them. Well, like everyone knew them, but no one knew them. I think that was what they said. So like, how did you avoid like that happening? Because I'd imagine it's quite easy. So like, you know, just have people, you know, and at the same time actually have no one.
Yeah, I mean, I think leadership is an incredibly lonely journey. But I also think it's because you're like you're going into like really dark places trying to provide light. So it's dark when you get there.
Right.
And it's just a part of the job. So I guess for me, it's number one, it's recognizing the context in which I operate in isn't the same as other people, which means I have to, how my life is built. So even my day to day, how I build my schedule is around my ability to be present with people, right? But it also means I spend more on cars. You know, there's a period of my life I had a driver. Like, you know, over the summer, I had like a driver because I needed to be able to like meet people and be with people, even though my schedule was incredibly busy. So I would pay whatever it costs because I understand the value of people to me. And but it's in the context of like, in the big picture, what am I trying to achieve? And for me, like, that's far more important than my emotions towards whatever I'm trying to do. I think like emotions are really healthy, like fear and all these things, they tell you that you're alive, but if you live in them, you might as well be dead, except you're alive. I think for me, a few practical things for me is like, it's also letting people know what I care about like first when you meet me, because then if we're able to form a real relationship, I need you to be aware of my intensities and the level of visionary that I am. And because if I was to come to you, I would need to be able to rely on you at a level which might be a lot. So I'm very communicative with people about who I am, my emotions, and all those things. And I've had to learn how to articulate those things. And it comes with a deep sense of alienation, like you're an alien. But I think also around the right environments, people will buy into you. And here's the thing is, yeah, you have a lot of people who don't care, or who don't seem to care much more about you, but you will find people along the way who really deeply care about you. And when you find them, you hold on to them. That's kind of the experience. And I've been deeply kind of stung by relationships. But also, once again, the moment I forget the context of which I operate, the context of the fact that my job is people, then I have lots to be sad about. But if I understand what the goal is in supporting people, and if it's really about the person, even this is the key thing, right? I remember a mentor said to me that if what you're doing is important, it doesn't matter whether it's going well or not. It's important that you do it. And I think that's really the answer for these situations. It doesn't matter whether I feel lonely or not. It doesn't matter whether they know me or not. It's important that I impact their lives, and where I see in my heart that I feel like I can make an impact. Essentially, is you have to be so okay with being used. But in a life full of what we're looking for in life is we're looking for fulfillment all the time. I get fulfilled every day. but it comes at the cost that sometimes I feel alone. So to be fulfilled, which is to be full and filled, you have to be full of use, which is to be used. So unfortunately, a lot of us have like these nice desires to feel like we have purpose, but we're focused too much about the emotions that come in purpose, which tells you that your motivations aren't correct. So for me, I guess that like it's a part of the job. That's just it.
That's like the long and short. Yeah. That's never really thought about it like that. That's a
but
great point to make.
You find people, man. Yeah, you find people
along the way. I think I think the thing you said about, like showing people like your intensities and all of that. And it's a great point because like I feel like the thing with like relationships, when I often talk to people, and at the base kind of what the actual issue is, it just seems like it always kind of boils down to, at some point, expectations were never really communicated. Expectations were never really mutually understood. You get what I mean?
literally.
Yeah, so it's I don't know. It's a weird one for relationships. So I feel like
and you know what's even interesting on the topic of expectation is everybody's trying to do this thing where it's like, I have no expectations of you. I think that's like the most unhealthy relationship ever.
Facts,
right? Like
facts.
Like you have to know what you expect from me. In fact, you should. I think like you talk about humanity. We all kind of like morally have a social expectation of each other. Like everybody, right? You look at traffic light, everybody expects each driver to be aware how to drive properly safe on the road. And
absolutely,
the one moment that somebody runs a red light when it should be, they should wait, they compromise the whole system. In fact, they break the whole system. And we live in a world where people are like, just want to be careless, and then they say, oh, I have no expectations of you, so you're good. And it's just a way to protect themselves. But I think expectations are really healthy. Like, I should tell you what I expect from you, because right, it might not be good to box you into my expectation, but I should be able to communicate to you that I expect things of you, because we expect things from everybody else. You tap your card and you expect that they don't take much more money than they do. But because that doesn't feel like an expectation in your mind, it isn't, but it is. We live in a world of expectation, and we have to find a way to balance it. It's a balancing act. So I think everybody needs to actually have expectations of people, and most people that say they don't, it's just probably because they don't know how to communicate what they actually feel, so they project, and try to protect themselves. Sorry.
Kojo, what do you think? Are you muted? Can you imagine? You said your podcast recording. How managed, bro?
No, somebody was ringing at the doorbell, and I didn't want it to like be going off in the middle of.
Thanks, bro.
I forgot.
See, that's an expectation. God.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, go on.
But yeah, I think it's really important that we have expectations for each other, because I feel like that's what makes us hold ourselves to like a higher standard. Because if no one expects anything from you, then you in your mind think you can get away with anything. And there's also that thing of, oh, I'm not expecting anything from you, so why are you expecting things from me? And people will use that as a way to like leverage certain things in your relationship with them.
Facts.
So it's important that like, just make sure you're very clear with your expectations for people, and if they are not meeting them, then that is a problem. And if they don't expect you to have expectations for them, it is also very much a problem. I think it's a sign of laziness, personally. Either laziness or lack of accountability, but both of those things are very much problems.
Sure.
Facts, I agree. Hey, well, what's happened to you? Please.
I was gonna
I'm in pain, man.
Hello. Hello. This is well. But yeah, Folake, what do you think?
I think that expectations are essential. I expect things of everybody that I know, because like, why wouldn't I? For example, and this might sound insane, my dad texts me every morning at like 2 a.m. my time. I expect him to do that. So the day he doesn't, personally, I come and I'm like, are you okay? Is everything all right? And he's like, yes. I'm like, but I expected a message, I didn't get one. I think the other thing is like, you have to understand that not everybody is going to meet your expectations.
That's also true.
You as a person, you know what you give. I know what I bring to the table as a friend. I know that if my friend needs me to move Mount Kilimanjaro, you will see me there pushing it at the bottom and be like, but I know that I don't expect everybody else to come and push Kilimanjaro for me.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to be disappointed. Like in life, you have to know that you're gonna get disappointed and you're just gonna have to go, we move. And if you don't remove them, that's between you and your feelings to wrestle with, really. I think the biggest problem is people expect themselves of others.
Right.
And then when that person doesn't give you yourself, you're like, well, why not? And it's because, well, that person is not you. That person doesn't have the same ability that you have. They don't have the same just level of like feeling responsibility that you do.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I don't know. Yeah.
You know, I get what you mean. Or quite possibly they're just not like not your person. You get what I mean? Like we talk about compatibility all the time, stuff like that. You get what I mean? Like some things, I was gonna say some things come easy to others and others don't. That being said, I don't think ease is actually the deciding factor in the situation. Because I think even like naturally a relationship, sometimes it will require sacrifice from you. Like if it's just that
sometimes the whole time, man.
Honestly, exactly. Like it's just that the value of that relationship to you is more than that of the sacrifice. So comparatively, you're willing to do with the sacrifice. You get what I mean? But man, I feel like that's not always easy for people to see, sure. But no, like, I think in fact, I'm what. Bro, I can't talk about this topic for a while.
honestly,
because I feel like the society a lot of us are. No, I was about to say the society a lot of us are in. The society we're all in, the society. But like, I feel like it has successfully created a narrative of just doing everything and only exclusively things that are easy and convenient and for you and make you happy. And I just think that that is the very route that will lead you down to unhappiness, because it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Like some things that are actually, all things actually that are most worth doing require some sacrifice. Exactly, they take efforts, they require some sacrifice. So it doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, let's leave that for now, because like I said, I can talk about this topic and I'll just be going. So let's leave it for now. All right, so we're going to go into the dessert of the episode, right? And what I wrote, and I'm so happy I wrote this, because I feel like I wrote this even before we started recording, but everything you've said has led very much into this direction. I'm just pleased that it has happened that way. Our dessert, which is a section of the episode where we have a phrase or a word, something like that, or just an idea, and then we just talk about it briefly, but sometimes deeply, is vision to reality. Vision to reality. So as obviously vision, as in what you see, what you think, what you conceptualize, and bringing that to reality. Josiah, when you hear those, what's the first thing that comes to your head?
I was actually talking about this today, actually. I mean, I feel like I talk about this every day. Yeah, I think when I think about it, I just think of all the problems that I've faced. Number one, like, guys, nice to dream. Do you get what I'm saying? It's actually really nice to dream. But actually doing the work is just not enjoyable. But like when I think of it, I think of where I am right now in my life is how quickly can I think of something? How quickly can I process it? And how quickly can I execute it? Google do this thing as well, like they build in a week. So they build if there's an idea, they bring an idea to life. They do a week building it, bring it to life. If it doesn't work, it dies. So I try to have the same thing with a bunch of my ideas. If I can think about it and I can bring it to life in a week, then that means I can look at all the problems that I had whilst creating it. Then I get to solve all the problems. I can then take 6 months or 3 months to figure out, okay, all right, here's an issue I find when I keep doing this. Here's a snag. How do I get rid of the snag? Boom, boom, boom. Once I then have that, I can formulate a plan. And then for me, once again, the cycle starts. Input an idea, process it, execute it, post. So that's how my brain works. Because man, it's hard to bring things to life, man. You know, but and what's worse is that it dies the more you think about it. I think some things need to be thought through, but like some things also you need to do them enough and think about, like, learn how to juggle two things at the same time. So yeah, man, that's what I think about when I talk about kind of vision to reality. It's tough, and mostly is you don't want to leave a trail of failure behind you because you never trust yourself. So it's also learning how to execute on really small things, really minute things, and building up a portfolio for yourself in your own mind.
Yeah, facts.
Unless you never bring anything to life, man. Just be a person full of ideas.
Facts. I agree. I think the tough thing with vision sometimes. I remember I was talking to someone who is, you know, he's chasing a dream he has. And he was basically talking about how tough it is chasing a vision that only you can see. And that, honest, I genuinely think there are few things in the world harder than that. Maybe labor. Labor is a bit mad. So props to all people. Props to all people that go through that. But I genuinely think that having a dream, having a vision for yourself, which you are the only person that believes in, is genuinely crazy. But yeah, I agree with what you said. Just like, you know, within that vision, they're like little sub visions. They're little sub. It's like having, if your vision is okay, I'm going to, for example, okay, great. For example, it's like having a vision that you're going to create like a 9-course meal, you know, and then you're just like, all right, cool, I'm going to create a 9-course meal, so I'm going to do it. It doesn't really make sense. You have to kind of break down the vision for each course. So what's the first course going to be? It's going to be this. Okay, how am I going to make that course? I'm going to do this. Okay, how am I going to do that? I'm going to do this. You get what I mean? It's like, all right, so I need to have these ingredients to make this. Or first of all, you need to have decided I'm going to make this. Then you need to decide, okay, what are the ingredients? You write that down. Then it's going to be like, okay, how do I get these ingredients? You're going to have to go to the shop. Okay, how am I going to get to the shop? You might have to take the train. All right, you have to, you get what I mean? Like, there are lots of subvisions between. So I think honestly that coming up with a vision, coming up with subvisions, all of that, it's best thing to do. And then all of a sudden, you know, just go one step by step, and you know, you can get there. That's what
I think it's knowing who you're cooking for. So who's actually going to eat your food? I think it's like the most major thing. Like, if you have decided on a menu but you don't know who's eating it, you're going to guarantee not get a good response. And it's kind of this idea, like it's in marketing, it's what we call building an avatar. You know, it's one of the most key things in everything you do. When you talk about content creation, storytelling, even how you do your subject, how you write your essays, like, if you know the person marking your essay, the way you write it, you can write in a language that can appeal to them to give you more marks. And like, most people don't get this, and it's not like about kissing ass, like, but it's about knowing who you're speaking to. You know, like, you know your audience for this podcast, so it affects, like, so you know, if you're building an app for Nigerians and you might build it in English, but if it's for Nigerians, it might make more sense that the landing page be in Pidgin.
Yeah.
Right. Because instantaneously, when someone reads that, it gives them a sense of culture, a sense of being at home. So if you don't like, that already will drive sales differently. Because if a Nigerian feels a Niger guy, like, you know, it's like, oh, okay, cool. Everyone understands.
I'm at home. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's like 3 different levels. And I think it's one of the most important things. Your vision is like, bro, who are you trying to feed? Like, bro, like, if you just have a vision, that's also why, like, also, like, you know, the idea, like, you know, sometimes the visions that only you see, and I think the problem with a lot of people is that there's lots of things that they see, but the problem is it gets created before they even do anything about it, because somebody sees it and shares it with someone and teaches somebody how to see it. And that's how I think about my ideas, man. Like, if I'm not inviting people, so look at creativity. Creativity is nothing much more than problem solving. That's it, right? That's the basic. Like, that's what creativity is. But the byproduct of problem solving is what we call creation. So even you want to look biblically, right? God was in company with himself, and he got to a point where he was like, I want to be in company with them. My dream. He said, I knew you before you were born. So God was in company with himself, and then he said, I want to bring my dream to life. So he then dreamt of us. He then shared us with himself. And because he shared us with himself, that's how we were created. That's what we call ourselves as humanity. Whether you believe in that or not, that's what the Bible tells you, right? And also when you look at some of the best ideas, what we find iconic wasn't created to be iconic. It was probably created just to be expressed. But because you heard it, it changed you. It became iconic to you. And it became iconic to another person and another person, another person. And before you know it, someone's an icon. And I think like with visions, if you have a vision and you're not sharing it with anybody, it probably won't come to life because you're too stingy with it. And you want to get to a point where your visions, like the things that you're dreaming about, is you know who it's for, but you are so certain that it doesn't need your name because like bro, you don't know who created a lamppost, but every day your light, your nighttime is illuminated. Who created a lamppost? Like look at the fact that one interesting thing, I was reading a book about this and I find it so interesting, is like you look at the light bulb was invented to try to help productivity. And it did speed up, it did like help productivity, but it also sped up the whole world, but also created many things like it reduced the amount of hours the human body needs for sleep, which arguably one can say it reduced, it helped productivity, but it also increased mental health issues, just the light bulb. And then it also reduced lifespan. Because people would go to sleep when the sun went down because they couldn't do anything. People would wake up when the sun comes up because they have to do everything. So life was two parts. Now the world doesn't sleep, nor do we. And so you look at the, but I also think about how crazy it is that somebody just said, I'm just going to create a light bulb, and they shared it with somebody and it came to life and it changed the whole world. I think the problem with most people who have vision today is that they want to be recognized for the vision. And it's like, you actually like a really good vision. If you really want to build something that lasts, try to make yourself immediately irrelevant. Right, to the point where people aren't talking about who you are, they're talking about what you created. In fact, they're not even talking about it. It's just a part of their life. Like we don't sit there and talk about lampposts. We just assume they turn on. We have an expectation that in a dark road at some point the light will turn on. That's the type of visions I have, man. Like, but it comes from sharing, and most people trying to hold tightly to ideas that are really bad. How do you know your idea is really that good if you don't share it? Because at the end of the day, if you try to steal my idea, you can't steal my intellectual property. It's my intellect. You can try to copy it, but only I know what step out on stage.
What's actually my idea? Yeah, exactly.
So it's that. And then there's a song that Buju says it's actually so silly, but this song did millions for me in my mind. It's when he says, if you don't get money, they kill idea, right? I often look at our communities and I often try to wonder, why are we not advancing? Right. Of course, we have lots of different circumstances that put us behind, but also it's because I noticed that, and I did a lot of research on this, and our relationship with money is very interesting. That money is directly entangled with our ideas, whereas everybody else doesn't have a direct money entanglement with ideas. So you go talk to a white man, he will tell you, some white men, you tell you, hey, like, yeah, man, I gotta do this, but I gotta figure out how to get a loan. Like, money is just another problem they solve. But for us, for some of us, money is like, I can't think of the idea until I have money. You know what I mean? And then the money, the amount of time it's going to take for you to get the money by your own thinking, the idea has to die. It's never going to come up in the sky. Whereas I've worked with so many startups, I've seen people raise £2 million out of thin air. And why? Because they went to go talk to somebody who had 2 million and heard the idea and was like, I need to be a part of it.
Yeah.
So if nobody gets your vision, you have to ask yourself if you're actually trying to teach anyone about it. And it would be so sad. It'd be so sad if you the grave is like, the grave is the best place for ideas.
Yeah.
Everybody's just there. So that's my thoughts to it. But I think we need to do more about vision, but also it's also because when you share it, you can be held accountable when you fail. So that's the other part about it, and I think that's also why people don't.
Yeah, but surely because this is actually I love that you brought that up, because this is actually something I've thought about in recent days. But surely, if you are scared of being held accountable if you fail, surely you don't actually want it. that badly. You know what I mean? Because I just feel like, because I think everything you've said, right, about, you know, sharing, I think it's so valid. And this is where the point of, you know, what we were talking about earlier in the episode about relationships comes to play, right? Because I remember I did an episode, this would have been either 2 years or a year ago now. I did an episode with a friend of mine, Demi, who she said this exact same thing. She talked about how, you know, before she started her company, she had to talk to people. She talked to her family. She talked to lots of other people to, you know, figure out how to make it happen, you know? And I just feel like how are you going to get anywhere if you don't have those kind of relationships where you can actually talk to someone and they will be brutally honest with you, not because they're trying to put you down, but because they genuinely want to see you succeed and they're trying to make that happen with you. You get what I mean? And that, you know, that opens up a whole other conversation about a lot of people in this day and age, bro. You don't have relationships, but that's a whole different conversation. That's an entirely different conversation. It's an entirely different podcast episode. It's an entirely different book. Like, honestly, because a lot of people are running around and they do not actually have real, like, those sort of real conversations. Like, I remember when I wanted to start a podcast, Kojo, who you see in front of you today, Kojo was the first person I told. It was the first person I told. I was like, yeah, I'm going to start a podcast. He was like, all right, cool. Like, are we going to do it? You get what I mean? We're going to, like, what was the next thing? Next thing was coming up with the name. It wasn't very helpful, but let's put that aside. And, you know, we just kept going like that. And yeah, here we are 2 years later. It's working. You know, he helps me in most episodes and stuff like that. I just think that's so important. And to the point you said of, you know, if you tell someone else, you're held accountable if you fail. Surely, if you actually want it bad enough, if this is something you actually want to make happen, then when someone tells you, if you know, from then on, I hadn't, like, for example, you know, we hadn't had our first recording of the podcast, or even if we had started, but then let's say 5 months later, nothing had happened again. If Kojo had messaged me and said, oh, you said you were starting a podcast, how far? Why would I be scared of that happening if I was the one that said I wanted to start a podcast? You get what I mean? I don't understand the mentality personally. Like, I don't know. For like I don't know what you guys think, but me personally, I don't understand that. I didn't get it.
I think for me, the whole thing is, when you said that, I thought, oh God. I thought I was doing WhatsApp to my mom or something. Because like when I talk to my parents, like my career goal is so stupidly unrealistic. It's like, I'm here now. How am I gonna get from here to where I want to be? And obviously, I have odds stacked against me. I want to work in a male-dominated industry. I want to work in a white male-dominated industry, and I am a Black woman from Nigeria.
That makes you a gem, though. That makes you a gem. You get
it does, but it also is like,
but it's tough. Yeah.
Looking at the stats, it was like, because I want to be a movie director, it was like, out of the past like 1,000 and something, like best movies or like highest grossing movies, like 40 directors are women. And then you now have to consider how many of these women are women of color.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. Yeah,
exactly. So it's like, I lost my train of thought. Anyways, it's like, how am I, like, who do I know now that can make it to where I get to where I want to be? And so when I was writing last year, when I was writing a screenplay in school, it was like, don't tell me that it's good because you think I'm going to react poorly. Like, I don't care. If it's bad, it's bad. Yeah. Let's know now, because we all know that we watch those movies and we think to ourselves, who told you
get the rights? No, honestly, all my days, it's so necessary. It's actually so necessary.
But you know what's crazy? But you're watching, but you know, but you're inside you're watching the thing.
You're making that money still.
You watched it, yes, but it's like, why does nobody say it's so much better?
No, the worst one is, I remember I did a video, I was reacting to like the worst like Got Talent and like X Factor like appearances and stuff like that, auditions, all of that. No, that one is the worst in my opinion, because if no family member or friend could tell you, my love, this is not a good idea, then something is seriously wrong. Something is seriously wrong, because I'm just there and I feel so bad because I'm like, oh, well, this is funny, but like, it was so avoidable. It was so avoidable. Exactly. It was so avoidable. Obviously, once you entered the God's Talent and the X Factor building, they saw you and they saw money. They saw you and they were like, yeah, we need to have this person because this is someone that will make people laugh. But like, please, before you stepped out of your front door, someone should have told you. Please. Anywho, carry on. Carry on.
So my thing is like, if it's bad, tell me, because I will go back and I'll work on it. For me, what I stand to gain in the long run is so much. It's more invaluable compared to what I stand to lose.
Yeah.
Like if you tell me, okay, this dream is not going to happen. Okay, the dream has not happened. Fine, but like now I have time in my life to go ahead and do other things, bring other things to life. This one is not working. No problem.
Yeah.
This next one will work. If that one doesn't work
again.
Exactly. Dream and redream. Think and rethink.
Like that's
yeah.
So I tell myself all the time, I'm like, this is going to be a hell. Like it's going to be
of a journey.
Biggest, like,
it's going to be a hell of a journey.
But like at the end of the day, it's like I've worked towards it and it's happened now. So anything that came before, no problem.
Yeah. No, honestly, that's one of my. I think I've told Kojo this, but it's one of my biggest. Like every day when I sit down to create a video, right? And there's some days where literally it's not. Oh man, there's sometimes when it's just not ideal. Like there are all sorts of things going on or whatever. Sometimes I literally know, okay, I have to sit down, I have to create in a matter of hours, right? I just think to myself more about like, you know, one day I would wake up and I'll be like, you know what, we actually did it. Like, we actually did this thing, like this thing which, you know, I thought of since I was like 15 or whatever. Like we created it, you know, like we've actually, like everything. I just want everything I have thought of, everything I've dreamed of. I can't wait to see it like as a reality. That's what like that's what gets me like every time where it's just like, you know, things are, you know, I remember we recorded another episode where a guest as well, he's talked about how you don't need motivation, you need discipline. I think you need motivation to get discipline, because once you have motivation is from like wanting to see your dream realized, right? And then discipline is just applying it to make sure that you get there. And that's like to the point I was making before about like, surely you don't really want it. Like if you want it, you want it, you know, and you would do what it takes to get there. If not, then you're wasting your time, bro. You're wasting your time.
Like, I mean, hard work will always be talent. Talent is nice, and I think talent is the proclivity of how you do what you do. So you'll always be more talented than somebody, but they will always outwork you.
Yeah,
and talent isn't sustainable. Like, and you know that's been the hardest realization for me, because I'm incredibly hardworking, but I think I'm also incredibly talented. But the problem is when you lean so much on talent, you can. One thing I used to do in school, like primary school, man, I talked my way through school, talked my way through secondary school, and then my one mentor I then met, he then said to me, you know, it's better to look fool. It's better to be fool than to look fool. I thought about myself. I said, everybody knows me, this amazing guy. Guess what? I actually know the truth. I'm just good at talking. And I have to decide, do I want to just be good at talking for the rest of my life, or do I actually want to be better? Do I actually want to be able to show up? And that took me down a humble path of stopping everything I was talking about and doing everything and creating bodies of work. So much so that I can look back for myself, you know. And I sometimes think to myself, like, I always see the pattern. Like, even I look at my Instagram content, I'm like, if I'm doing more ads, if my best content is coming out in an ad, then I'm not correctly motivated. And it's just like, it's like, if my best work comes out when I get paid, then I don't want to work. I just want money. I don't want to create impact. So it's, you know, so it's really questioning yourself these hard questions all the time. Like, do you really, like, is this a vision or is this a dream? Like, you know, the dreams are nice, but like, is this a vision? Like, is it, as in, can you see yourself getting there? Because if you can see yourself getting there, then it's time to open your eyes and do something about it. But the problem is, you know, it's kind of like a bunch of us have a bunch of aspirations, but aspirations aren't goals.
Facts.
Like, you can aspire for anything. I look up this guy and think, oh, the sun is nice, but I'm not an astronaut. Like,
exactly.
To get up there requires energy.
That's to build. Exactly.
What it takes for me to get to that star means I probably don't spend enough time looking up at it. I can't. I'm probably in the classroom figuring something else. Like, you for like you're here trying to probably go into, you know, filmmaking, blah blah blah. But the reality is you're not spending most time shooting. You're learning. You know, because you're first learning how to live a story before you tell one. Like,
Facts.
and that there is what would change anybody. You know, and I think successful visionaries are people who spend decades revisioning. All right, revision. This is what they do: just take the vision, think about it, build a step, think about it, break it down, build it up again, and before you know it, like you're stood underneath a lamppost, and yeah, the lamp was an idea, you know, and now everybody is too. And I think, but I think even we're far more powerful than we give ourselves credit. And we just need to believe in ourselves.
Facts. I think honestly that's the best place to end the episode. I think in conclusion, you can do way more than you think you can. You know, as to stop thinking about it as just, you know, oh, I would like to. You get what I mean? I would have loved to be a footballer, but I'm not good enough. Like, you get what I mean? I'm not good enough. I'd have loved this. I would have loved to be there, but I can't. So you get what I mean? Like, and I can't now because obviously, like, if I was actually serious about it, I'd have started training like years ago. You get what I mean? And that's completely okay.
Yeah.
But the fact is, if I turn my eye to something, I keep thinking of it as, oh, it would be nice for this, or it would be nice for this, or I would like for whatever. Something about, oh, I would like for, I'd be like, okay, I want to do this, I will do this to get here, blah, blah, blah. You get what I mean? Like, actually turn it into practicality. Sure, you guys. Cool. I think we'll have blasted listeners for long enough. Oh my days. Thanks so much, Josiah, for coming on. It's been amazing, man. It's been great. I've loved it.
It's so fun.
Thanks, Flaky, for coming on. Thanks, Coach, for helping out as always. Thank you guys for listening to The Dish. See you next time.